I see them through the window before they notice me watching. My husband Blake stands so close to my sister Brielle that their shadows merge on the hospital floor. His hand cups her face with the tender familiarity that once belonged to me. Then, as my heart monitor begins its frantic rhythm, their lips meet in a slow, lingering kiss. Not a goodbye peck. Not a moment of weakness. This is practiced intimacy. The monitor wails its betrayal as my blood pressure spikes. Blake and Brielle jump apart, guilt flickering across their faces before they compose themselves. They don't look toward my room. They don't know I've seen them. A nurse rushes in, her concerned face floating above me like a worried moon. "Mrs. Whitaker, everything okay? Your heart rate just shot through the roof." I force my voice to steady. "Fine. Just a twinge of pain." The betrayal hits really hard. 22 floors up in Denver Memorial, recovering from pancreatic surgery, I've just witnessed the collapse of my world through double-paned glass. My body still bears fresh stitches from where doctors removed a precancerous cyst while my husband and sister plotted behind my back. "I'll get you something for the pain," the nurse says, adjusting my pain medication won't touch this kind of hurt. Just yesterday, Blake had knelt beside this same bed, his warm hand enveloping mine. His wedding band caught the fluorescent light as he leaned close. "I'll be here when you wake up always," he'd promised, kissing my forehead. "You focus on healing." And Brielle, my younger sister, had flown in from San Diego with suspicious eagerness. "Of course I'm coming," she'd insisted during our pre-surgery phone call. "What kind of sister would I be if I didn't help during your recovery?" Now I understand her enthusiasm. The door swings open and they enter together, coffee cups in hand, faces composed in matching expressions of concern. I watch them perform for me, noting how carefully they maintain distance between their bodies. "Hey, sweetheart," Blake says, setting his coffee on my bedside table. "How are you feeling today?" I study him with new eyes, the man I've shared a bed with for 8 years, suddenly a stranger. I force my lips into a smile. "Better. The doctors say I'm recovering well." I turn to Brielle. "You two were gone a while." Blake's fingers twitch against his thigh. "Just grabbing coffee and discussing home care plans. Brielle has some great ideas for your recovery schedule." "How thoughtful," I say, watching color rise in my sister's cheeks. She smooths her caramel hair the same shade mine was before chemo bleached it to ash blonde, and launches into a detailed explanation of meal plans and medication schedules. My hands stop trembling beneath the blanket as rage replaces shock. While they talk, I slide my phone from the side table, position it under the covers, and set the voice recording app. "So, you've been planning this together for a while?" I ask. They exchange a quick glance I wasn't meant to notice. "The recovery plan?" "Of course," Brielle says, her voice overly bright. "Blake's been so worried about you." Over the next hour, I watch their choreography with clinical detachment. Blake steps into the hallway twice to take calls, his voice a hushed murmur. Brielle hovers near my laptop, casually mentioning she could handle the business correspondence while I recover. My business, my marriage, my health, all at risk simultaneously. As Blake returns from another secretive call, reality crystallizes with perfect clarity. My recovery will require more than physical healing. Something cold and determined settles in my chest. "Honey, you look tired," Blake says, checking his watch. "Maybe we should let you rest." I nod, suddenly exhausted by the performance theirs and mine. I am tired. Very tired. And I am, but not too tired to fight. They will not bring me down. As they leave with promises to return tomorrow, I close my eyes and let the gravity of what I've witnessed sink in. The road to recovery just became much longer, and it's no longer just my body that needs saving. 3 days later, I came home from the hospital and I am preparing for the fight. I stare at my laptop screen, the glow illuminating my face in the dim kitchen as midnight approaches. 3 days home from the hospital, and sleep eludes me. The pain medication dulls the surgical throb in my abdomen but does nothing for the ache in my chest. That's when I find them. Buried in my sent folder, emails I never wrote. Whitaker West Creative, brand extension overview. San Diego office space requirements. Client transition strategy. Each email bears my digital signature, forged from templates Blake had access to as my business partner and husband. Dozens of messages between him and Brielle about transforming my Denver-based creative agency into their California dream. My legs buckle. I grip the granite counter to keep from collapsing, feeling the strain against my fresh surgical stitches. The kitchen spins. As reality crashes down, they're not just stealing my husband. They're stealing my entire professional identity. 15 years of client relationships. My reputation. Everything I built while Brielle was still figuring out community college. Lauren, you should be in bed. Blake appears in the doorway, hair mussed from sleep, concern etched on his face. Such convincing concern. Couldn't sleep. I managed, closing the laptop with trembling hands. Just checking emails. Let me help you back upstairs. He reaches for my elbow. I flinch away. I'm fine. His eyebrows knit together, but he doesn't push. Smart man. Even in my weakened state, I might just find the strength to throw something heavy at his head. 2 days later, I'm at my desk in the home office, surrounded by the business I built one exhausting 18-hour day at a time. My assistant Melissa sits across from me, reviewing upcoming deadlines while Blake and Brielle hover nearby like vultures. The Johnson campaign needs final approval by Friday. Melissa says, sliding the folder toward me. I can handle that one, Brielle interjects, reaching across the desk. She wears my burgundy blazer, the one I commissioned from a local designer last year. My signature piece. On her shoulders. I place my hand firmly on the folder. I'll review it myself. Melissa glances between us, confusion flickering across her face. Oh, and the San Diego office space lease needs your signature by next week. The room goes still. I look up slowly. What San Diego office space? Blake steps forward, hand on Brielle's shoulder. We were going to discuss this when you were stronger. It's just an expansion opportunity we've been exploring. We've been researching markets for months, Brielle adds, enthusiasm too rehearsed to be genuine. Taking the brand Bicoastal makes perfect sense with how digital everything is now. Bicoastal, I repeat, the word tasting bitter. And when exactly was I going to be informed about this expansion of my company? Blake's smile doesn't reach his eyes. Our company, honey, and we are telling you, right now. The betrayal cascades through me in waves. Not just my marriage, not just my sister. My entire life's work. The Morgan account, I begin, is being handled. Blake interrupts. Rebecca understands you need recovery time. Morgan Lifestyle Resorts represents 40% of our annual revenue. My relationship with Rebecca Morgan took years to cultivate weekend strategy sessions, midnight deadline crunches, a shared vision of luxury with substance. What exactly does Rebecca understand? I ask, my voice dangerously quiet. Melissa shifts uncomfortably. I should mention several clients have called about receiving different proposals. They're confused about who's handling their accounts. That's a communication issue we'll sort out, Brielle says smoothly. Growing pains. Growing pains. As if they're nurturing my business rather than gutting it. I straighten in my chair despite the pull of stitches. Melissa, could you give us a moment? After she leaves, I level my gaze at them both. You're using my illness to steal my clients. Lauren, that's ridiculous, Blake scoffs. You're not thinking clearly. The medication is making me see things clearly for the first time. I finished. I pronounce each word loud and clear as if they would remember them for the rest of their lives. The confrontation ends in stalemate, with promises to discuss everything when I'm feeling better. They leave me alone with my racing thoughts and the growing certainty that while I was under anesthesia, they were carving up everything I've built. My phone rings. Rebecca Morgan's name appears on the screen. Lauren? Thank God. I've been trying to reach you directly. Rebecca says without preamble, I'm getting completely inconsistent proposals from your team. The numbers don't match our discussions, and frankly, the creative direction feels off-brand. Something small and fierce ignites inside me. I'm dealing with some unexpected challenges, Rebecca, but I'm back now, and I'll handle everything personally. Good, because I've worked with you for 6 years. I know what Whitaker Creative stands for. As I hang up with Rebecca, I wonder, should I expose Blake and Brielle's betrayal immediately with what I had, or quietly gather more evidence to ensure I could protect everything I'd built? The satisfaction of confronting them tempted me, but patience might secure my future. What would you do when the people you trusted most are dismantling your life while you recover? 2 days after the confrontation, I stare at my computer screen, the harsh blue light illuminating my face in the darkened home office. My surgical incision throbs beneath my cotton pajama top as I read the company-wide email Blake sent out this morning. The message displays his perfect corporate smile in the signature block, while the text above it dismantles my life one carefully chosen word at a time. Due to Lauren's extended medical leave, Daily operations will continue under interim leadership. Extended leave? I never agreed to step away from my own company. My fingers hover over the keyboard, trembling with rage rather than weakness. The message chain below shows concerned responses from clients people I've worked with for years questioning if I'm more seriously ill than they'd been told. My phone pings with a new notification. The Morgan Lifestyle Resorts team sending well wishes and hopes for my full recovery. The wording makes it sound like I'm dying, not healing from a successful surgery. Then a second email arrives, bearing Brielle's name in the sender line. She's introduced herself as Interim Creative Director. To the Henderson account, our newest and most promising client. When you're ready to ease back in, I'll catch you up on everything, she writes with transparent false concern, CCing Blake and our entire creative team. I close my laptop before breaking something. They're not just having an affair. They're systematically dismantling what I've built while I heal from surgery that Brielle knew about months in advance. The following morning, I discover client presentation files have disappeared from our shared drive. Folders containing 6 months of work for the Collins renovation project show only empty placeholders where comprehensive designs once lived. I call our IT manager, fighting to keep my voice steady despite the panic rising in my chest. Jeremy, I can't access the Collins files. Is there a server issue? His hesitation speaks volumes before he even forms words. Blake migrated those to a new protected drive yesterday. He said you needed to focus on recovery without work distractions. The pain medication makes focusing difficult. My thoughts drift and scatter as I try to track what they're doing. I force myself to work in 30-minute intervals between rest periods, keeping meticulous notes in a journal I hide beneath my mattress. Every conversation, every missing file, every suspicious email becomes evidence carefully documented in handwriting that grows steadier each day. I create backup copies of everything I can still access, storing them on a private cloud account Blake knows nothing about. Each night, I wake at 3 a.m. when the medication wears off, using the sharp clarity of pain to methodically preserve what remains of my company before they strip it away completely. When my cousin Mark arrives unannounced with homemade lasagna 3 days later, the simple kindness nearly breaks me. He sets the food down and takes in my exhausted appearance without comment, instead pulling up a chair beside me at the kitchen counter. I know something's wrong beyond the surgery, he says quietly. I'm a private investigator for a reason, Lauren. Family is supposed to lift you up, not tear you down. He squeezes my hand, his familiar grip warm and steady. Whatever you need, it's on the house. For the first time in days, I feel less alone in this battle. The opportunity to confront them comes sooner than expected. Blake texts that he and Brielle have scheduled a business strategy meeting at our home to keep me in the loop while minimizing my stress. The condescension burns hotter than my healing incision. They arrive with coffee and pastries, arranging themselves around our kitchen table like they belong there. Brielle has the audacity to sit in my chair at the head of the table. We've restructured the Morgan presentation timeline, Blake says, sliding a folder toward me. Their coastal properties need a different approach than we originally discussed. And who made that decision? I ask, voice deceptively calm as I flip through changes that contradict everything the client requested. Blake and Brielle exchange that look I've grown to recognize the silent communication of conspirators. We thought it best. Brielle offers, her smile tight. The team agrees this direction makes more sense for their demographic. Which team? I press. The Denver team I built? Or the San Diego satellite office you're assembling without my knowledge? Their momentary shock gives me a flicker of satisfaction. Blake recovers first, his tone patronizing. Lauren, you should focus on healing, not work. We've got everything handled. The kitchen feels suddenly too small, too warm. I straighten in my chair despite the pulling of my stitches. My business isn't something you handle while I'm inconvenient. The doorbell interrupts whatever excuse Blake was preparing. Without waiting for anyone to answer, Cassandra Fields strides into my kitchen, her tailored suit and briefcase radiating professional authority. Sorry I'm late, she announces, though I never invited her. Traffic was terrible. I hope you haven't started the legal portions without me. Blake's face pales. Legal portions? I'm Lauren's counsel, Cassandra states, pulling out a chair and opening her leather portfolio. I'll need copies of everything you're reviewing today. While Blake stutters and Brielle interrupts with increasingly desperate explanations, Cassandra takes meticulous notes. Her presence transforms the dynamic completely. I sit straighter, my voice finding its familiar authority despite my physical weakness. That evening after they leave, I call my financial advisor to trace recent business account activities and freeze our joint personal accounts. Rebecca Morgan from the resort chain has already forwarded copies of unauthorized proposals sent by Blake and Brielle, complete with pricing structures that undercut our standard rates. As I prepare for bed, my phone chimes with a new email. The Denver Women in Business Gala has sent their formal invitation. I scan the attached program, breath-catching when I see Brielle's name listed as attending on Lauren's behalf to accept an industry leadership award I earned last quarter. They've underestimated how quickly I can heal, and how completely I can destroy them both. This is just the beginning. A day later, the morning light cuts across my home office as I pick up the phone, my fingers steady despite the tremor in my chest. No more waiting, no more watching from the sidelines as they dismantle my life. Rebecca, it's Lauren Whitaker. I keep my voice level professional. I need to speak with you about some unauthorized communications you may have received. I lay out the facts methodically for my largest client, unauthorized proposals, misleading claims about my health, the attempted theft of my business. No tears, no accusations, just evidence. I wondered why the numbers didn't match our previous discussions. Rebecca says, her voice hardening, Blake assured me these changes were your idea. They weren't. I pull up the documents Melissa secretly forwarded me. I've attached comparison files showing the original concepts versus what you received. By noon, I've completed similar calls with Jordan at Alpine Developments and Stephen at Evergreen Hotels. Together, these three clients represent nearly 70% of Whitaker Creative's annual revenue. The response is unanimous concern, support, and a shared distaste for deception. We signed with you because of your integrity. Stephen tells me bluntly, your husband's proposal didn't sit right from the beginning. My phone buzzes with a security alert as I finish the last call. The custom notification system I had installed months ago, a precaution for client confidentiality that now serves a different purpose, flashes on my screen. Someone is attempting to access the company servers using my credentials. From San Diego. I open my laptop and watch in real time as Brielle's clumsy attempts trigger one security protocol after another. Each failed attempt documents her IP address, timestamps, and the specific files she's targeting: client contracts, billing information, proprietary design templates. The corners of my mouth lift in a smile that holds no warmth. Digital breadcrumbs, all neatly documented for Cassandra's growing case file. When Cassandra suggested filing for immediate divorce and business dissolution, I hesitated. Should I sever every tie cleanly and quickly, or maintain connections long enough to uncover the full extent of their betrayal and protect my clients? Quick freedom versus complete justice. My doorbell rings at exactly 3 o'clock. Melissa stands on my porch, her expression a mix of determination and anxiety. She clutches a thick manila envelope to her chest. I should have come forward sooner, she says, following me to the kitchen table. I kept telling myself I was misinterpreting things. She opens the envelope, spreading out printed calendar invitations, email exchanges, and hotel reservations spanning back 16 months. 16 months of secret meetings while I built our business, while I got sick, while I trusted them both. This one was from before your diagnosis. Melissa points to a reservation at the Oxford Hotel downtown. And these, she indicates a cluster of calendar entries, were scheduled during your treatment weeks. The timeline of betrayal crystallizes before me. Not opportunistic, not recent. Methodical and patient, waiting for my illness to provide the perfect cover. Blake asked me to book conference rooms for strategy sessions. Melissa continues, but the Denver office has perfectly good meeting spaces. Cassandra arrives an hour later, her briefcase bulging with legal documents. She lays them out with practiced efficiency: intellectual property theft documentation, contract violations, evidence of corporate sabotage. We're building an airtight case, she says, glasses perched on the end of her nose as she reviews Melissa's contributions. The unauthorized server access attempt today is particularly damning. My dining room transforms into command central as we organize evidence into comprehensive files: personal betrayal in one stack, professional in another, each equally devastating, and each now equally weaponized for my protection. My phone rings at 11:43 that night. Blake's name flashes on the screen. Lauren? His voice holds an edge of panic I've never heard before. I can't find the Morgan Resort presentation files. The meeting's tomorrow morning and they're just gone. I lean back against my pillows, suddenly aware of how much stronger I feel today than yesterday. That's strange. I say, my voice neutral. Have you checked the server permissions? Sometimes security protocols update automatically. His frustrated exhale tells me everything. Can you fix it? I've tried everything. I'll look into it first thing tomorrow. I promise, knowing he won't find those files because they're safely duplicated and stored in my private cloud account. Good luck with the presentation. I hang up before he can respond and open my email to find a message from Eleanor Marks, director of the Denver Women in Business Gala. The subject line reads, "Program listing concerns." "Dear Lauren," she writes, "I've received conflicting information about Whitaker Creative's representation at next week's gala. Your sister-in-law is listed as attending on your behalf, but several attendees have expressed concerns. Could we discuss this at your convenience?" I begin typing my response, planning my next move with the same methodical precision that once made Blake call me the chess master of marketing. The pieces are aligning, the board is clear, and they have no idea what's coming next. 2 days later, Blake and Brielle arrive at my condo dressed like co-CEOs, him in a charcoal suit, her wearing my signature emerald blazer. They didn't expect to find Cassandra sitting beside me at the dining table, legal documents spread between us like battle plans. "Lauren, we didn't realize you had company," Blake says, his smile faltering. "We hope to discuss this privately." "Cassandra is staying," I reply, gesturing to the empty chairs across from us. "Whatever compromise you're offering affects my business interests." They exchange a quick glance before settling opposite us. Blake leans forward, adopting the same sympathetic tone he used when I first received my diagnosis. "We've been thinking about how to make this situation work for everyone," he begins, spreading his hands on the table. "What if we keep your name on the rebrand? Whitaker Creative remains Whitaker Creative, with you as the founding partner." Brielle nods eagerly. "Your creative vision has always been so valuable, Lauren. This way, clients still associate the brand with you while allowing Blake and me to handle the day-to-day operations during your recovery." "Silent but credited," Blake adds, his voice smooth as oil. "The business maintains its reputation, and you can focus entirely on healing without stress." The unspoken threat hangs in the air. "Fight us, and we'll tell everyone you're too ill to handle client relationships." I take a slow sip of water, buying time as rage burns through my veins. The audacity of their performance almost inspires admiration if it weren't so transparent. "That's your compromise? I get my name on the door while you two run off with everything I built?" I place my hands flat on the table. "Tell me, when exactly did you start planning this? Before or after my diagnosis?" Blake shifts uncomfortably. "Lauren, this isn't productive. We're trying to find a solution that benefits everyone." "Interesting." I nod to Cassandra, who slides a folder across the table, "because I've already found my solution." Blake opens the folder, his confidence visibly crumbling as he flips through the papers inside. Brielle leans closer, her caramel hair brushing his shoulder as her face drains of color. "These are," Blake trails off, "emails from Morgan Lifestyle Resorts, Beckman Industries, and Western Heritage Hotels confirming they'll be following me to my new venture." I finish for him. "I've spoken with all our major clients personally. They weren't impressed by the conflicting communications they've been receiving." Brielle attempts damage control. "Lauren, clients say all sorts of things. When it comes down to contracts..." Rebecca Morgan specifically mentioned how concerned she was about Blake's ethics after he tried to amend their contract without proper authorization. I continue, watching my sister's false confidence crack. "And Thomas Beckman was particularly disturbed by your claim that I was too ill to continue creative oversight when he and I had spoken just that morning." Blake's jaw tightens. "You had no right to interfere with client relationships while we were managing things." "Managing things?" I lean forward, my voice steady despite the fury coursing through me. "You didn't just betray me, you weaponized my illness to build your future. Now watch me take it back." "This is business suicide," Brielle hisses. "You're not thinking clearly." "Actually, I've never seen things more clearly." I stand slowly, careful of my healing incision. "Now if you'll excuse me, I have the Women in Business Gala to prepare for." Blake's eyes widen. "You're not attending." "Oh, but I am." I smile thinly. "Eleanor Marks was quite interested to hear about your unauthorized rearrangements." The Denver Convention Center glitters with chandeliers reflecting off champagne glasses as I step through the entrance. My simple black sheath dress contrasts with the decorative bandage visible at my neckline, a strategic choice. I'm done hiding my recovery. From across the room, I spot Eleanor Marks at the podium, silver-haired and commanding in her role as the gala director. Blake and Brielle stand near the stage, perfectly positioned for networking. My sister leans toward a silver-haired man I recognize as James Whitfield from Colorado Capital Ventures. And now, Eleanor announces, her voice carrying through the speakers, I'd like to welcome Blake and Brielle Whitaker, who are representing Whitaker Creative tonight during Lauren's recovery. That's my cue. I step forward, moving purposefully through the crowd as heads turn and whispers follow. Blake spots me first, his champagne glass slipping from his fingers and shattering on the marble floor. Brielle freezes mid-handshake with James, her rehearsed smile evaporating. Lauren, Eleanor exclaims with genuine warmth, extending her hand to me. What a wonderful surprise. I ascend the 3 steps to the podium, grateful for the hours of physical therapy that make this moment possible. The microphone captures my measured breathing as I survey the room of Denver's business elite, many of whom have worked with me for years. Thank you, Eleanor. My voice remains steady, carrying across the suddenly silent room. I'm delighted to be here tonight, not only to celebrate the remarkable women in our business community, but also to share some news. I pause, letting anticipation build. As many of you know, I've been recovering from surgery. What you may not know is that during this time, I've also been planning an exciting new chapter. Tonight, I'm announcing the launch of Whitaker Creative Studio, where I'll continue working with clients who value transparency, integrity, and authentic creative partnerships. Murmurs ripple through the crowd. Near the bar, I notice Blake whispering urgently to Brielle, whose face has flushed crimson. I want to thank everyone who has supported me during this challenging transition. I continue, deliberately echoing the language Blake used to describe my illness. Your loyalty means everything, and I look forward to our continued collaboration. As I step away from the microphone, the room erupts in applause. Eleanor embraces me briefly before addressing the crowd again. I make my way toward a cluster of clients, noting how attendees subtly shift away from Blake and Brielle, creating an invisible barrier around them. By midnight, whispers about Blake's financial mismanagement have begun circulating. Someone mentions company funds used for weekend trips to San Diego. Another references suspicious transfers to California real estate holdings. My phone buzzes with messages from family members, Aunt Carla insisting I should handle this privately, Cousin Daniel urging discretion for everyone's sake. The family's discomfort with public conflict outweighs their outrage at my sister's betrayal. I slip out before the final remarks, exhausted but victorious. The valet brings my car, and I drive home through Denver's quiet streets, streetlights blurring as unexpected tears fill my eyes. Not tears of sorrow, but of relief, the weight of pretending finally lifted. When I pull into my driveway, I immediately notice Blake's car parked at the curb. The living room lights burn bright despite the late hour. As I turn off the engine, the front door opens, framing Blake and Brielle in the doorway. Their faces are grim, determined. Blake steps forward, holding what looks like financial documents. Lauren, he calls across the darkness. We need to talk. One last time. 6 months after the gala, I stand in my downtown loft space, watching sunlight stream through floor-to-ceiling windows. The exposed brick walls display framed project mock-ups, visual milestones of Whitaker Creative Studio's rebirth. What impressed us most was your transparency, says Joanna Hartwell, CEO of Elevation Resorts. She gestures to the presentation boards where I've incorporated my recovery journey into our branding concept. Most agencies hide their struggles. You've turned yours into strength. I smile, touching the small lapel pin shaped like a pancreas, my signature accessory since recovery. Resilience isn't just a buzzword for us. We lived it. My team, all former Whitaker Creative employees who followed me, nod in agreement. When Blake and Brielle's scheme collapsed, they chose loyalty over convenience. That's why we're awarding you all 3 regional contracts. Joanna continues, sliding the paperwork across my reclaimed wood conference table. Your integrity is exactly what our brand needs. After they leave, I stand at the window overlooking Denver's skyline. The same city where my life imploded now witnesses its reconstruction, stronger at every broken place. Later that afternoon, I return to Denver Memorial for my final follow-up scan. The hospital corridors no longer trigger anxiety. Even passing the cafe where I first spotted Blake and Brielle together produces only a dull twinge rather than sharp pain. Clean scan, doctor. Patterson announces, showing me the images. No sign of recurrence. You're officially in monitoring status now. Walking toward the elevator, I pull out my phone and scroll to the photo album labeled Before. The last images of Blake and Brielle remain him adjusting her necklace at our anniversary dinner. Her birthday celebration where they sat suspiciously distant. Moments captured when I was still blind to what was happening. I pressed delete, watching the confirmation message flash. Just like that, gone. The evening air feels crisp against my face as I drive to my new home, a renovated Victorian in Congress Park with a garden studio where I sometimes paint again, something I hadn't done since college. Inside, Cassandra arranges wine glasses while Mark argues good-naturedly with Melissa about proper charcuterie arrangement. The guest of honor arrives. Cassandra announces, handing me a glass of sparkling water. Her legal brilliance had ensured Blake couldn't touch my company assets once his financial duplicity was exposed. Mark raises his glass. To foundations that strengthen rather than crumble. And to friends who become family when family fails, Melissa adds. 2 weeks later, I sit at a small table in Tattered Cover Bookstore, signing copies of Sharper Than Before, Business Resilience Through Personal Crisis. The publisher had approached me after my keynote at the Women in Leadership conference went viral. Next, please. I say, looking up to see a woman around 50 clutching my book against her chest. When she steps forward, I notice the surgical scar visible on her neck, similar to the one hidden beneath my blouse. Your story saved my company, she says quietly. I was ready to let my business partner buy me out while I was sick. Then I heard you speak. As I sign my name on the first page, I wonder whether sharing my story would help others recognize betrayal before it devastated them, or if some lessons can only be learned through personal pain. Is wisdom something we can truly pass on to others, or must each person forge their understanding through their own trials? What was the turning point for you, she asks. I cap my pen, considering. When I realize that surviving doesn't just mean enduring, it means emerging stronger than before. She touches her scar unconsciously, nodding, another survivor understanding without explanation.